Good morning, children. How are you today? Сәлеметсіздер ме, балалар? Қалдарың қалай? Здравствуйте, ребята. Как ваши дела? The same of our lesson is a present perfect. Grammar. Бүгінгі біздің сабақ тақырыбымыз грамматика, аяқталмаған осы шақ. Тема нашего урока называется несовершенное время. Grammar, present perfect, affirmative form. Болымды сөйлем, аяқталмаған осы шақ. Біз есімдікке have немесе has көмекші етістігін қою арқылы және де етістікті өткен шақта, яғни үшінші формада қою арқылы жасаймыз. Present perfect образуется с помощью вспомогательного глагола have или же has. И глагол мы вставляем в прошедшем времени, или же третий столбик выбираем. I have cleaned the room. Мен бөлмені тазаладым. Я убралась в комнате. Negative form. For the negative form, we add not to the auxiliary verbs. Болымсыз сөйлемге біз көмекші етістік have немесе hasге not қосымшасын жалғаймыз. В негативной форме, в отрицательной форме мы вставляем частицу not в вспомогательный глагол have или же has. I haven't done. Мен жасаған жоқпын. Я не делала. You haven't played. Сен ойнаған жоқсың. Ты не играла. Present perfect interrogative forms. Interrogative forms сұраулы сөйлем. Бұл жерде көмекші етістік have немесе has алдыға шығады. В вопросительной форме вспомогательный глагол have или же has перейдет на первое место. Have I done? Мен жасадым ба? Сделала ли я? Let's watch the video. Кәне, видео көрейік. Және де present perfect грамматикасында just, yet, still, already сөздері бар. Ол дегеніміз just, только что, қазір ғана, yet, еще не, әлі, емес, still, до сих пор, әліге дейін, already, уже, болған нәрсе. Осы сөздерді сөйлемдерде көретін болсақ, онда ол present perfect сөйлеміне жатады. Если вы увидите эти слова в предложениях, значит, это предложение относится к present perfect.
Привет! Это English Show. И сегодня поговорим о том, что это за время такое present perfect.
English Grammar Sport. This lesson is about the present perfect. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to form a present perfect and when to use a present perfect. But before we get started, it's good to know how to conjugate the verb to have. For the singular forms, I have, you have, he has, she has, it has. And for the plural forms, we have, you have, they have. It's also good to know that in the English language there are regular and irregular verbs, and it is advisable that you study the most commonly used irregular verbs. Now let's get started. Take a look at these sentences. I've painted the door yellow. They've paid for dinner themselves. Both these sentences are in the present perfect tense. How to form a present perfect? Let's have a look at the regular verbs. For the regular verbs, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle. You can make a past participle by adding ed to the infinitive form of the verb. Now let's have a look at these singular forms. I have worked there. You've listened carefully. He has cleared the table. She has placed it on the floor. It has snowed. For the plural forms, we have walked to school. You have watched the tennis match. They have marked the tests. Now we need to pay extra attention to verbs that end in an E, such as live, close and wipe. For these verbs, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but the past participle is made by simply adding a D to the verb. Look at the examples. I've lived here for quite some time now. He has closed the window. They have wiped the floor. We also need to pay attention to verbs that end in a Y, especially those preceded by a consonant, such as spy and study, because we change the Y into an I. For example, he has spied on his neighbours, and we have studied hard. Now let's have a look at the irregular verbs. For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but for the irregular verbs, the past participle has a unique present perfect form. Take a look at the examples. I've built that shed with my own 2 hands. The infinitive form of the verb is to build with a D. She has bought some flowers at the market. The infinitive form of the verb is to buy. We have run the marathon. The infinitive form of the verb is to run. Now let's have a look at the present perfect in questions. First, for the regular verbs. Again, we use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle. Has she talked to him yet? Have you kicked the ball? Have they ever worked on a farm? For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and the past participle, but now the unique present perfect form. For example, has she quit her job yet? Have you ever driven a car? Have they ever paid for dinner? Let's have a look at the present perfect in negations. For the regular verbs, again the auxiliary verb to have, and we add not, contracting it into haven't or hasn't and the past participle. I haven't listened to the news. It hasn't rained since Friday. They haven't closed the window. For the irregular verbs, we also use the auxiliary verb to have and not, contracting it into haven't and hasn't and the past participle. For example, she hasn't quit her job. The infinitive form of the verb is to quit. You haven't ever driven a car. The infinitive form of the verb is to drive. And they haven't paid for dinner. The infinitive form of the verb is to pay. Now let's have a look at the present perfect in use. We use the present perfect for things that happened in the past, but it is not important when they happened. I've been to Scotland. It's not important when I've been there, it's important that I've been to Scotland. They've decided to buy a car. It's not important when they decided it, the decision alone is important. We also use the present perfect for things that started in the past, but that have continued in the present. For example, Bob and Jack have known each other for ages. For example, they met in the 1970s and they are still friends. They have lived there since 2011, so they moved there in 2011 and they've continued to live there. We also use the present perfect when the following words are in a sentence: for, yet, never, ever, just, already, since. Here are some examples. I've lived here for 3 years. We haven't seen that film yet. Have you ever watched a football game? I thank you for your attention.
Exercise number 1. Order the words to make sentences. Бірінші жаттығу. Мына сөздерден сөйлем құраймыз. Упражнение номер 1. Составляем предложение из этих слов. Exercise number 2. Write answers for the questions with still, yet, just, and already. Use your own ideas. Екінші жаттығуда сұрақтарға жауап жазамыз. Және де still, yet, just, and already сөздерін қойып жазамыз. Just сөзі только что, қазір ғана, яғни қысқа уақыт алдын болынатын іс-әрекетке қолданылады. Yet әлі емес сөзі ол болымсыз және де сұраулы сөйлемдерде және де сөйлемнің соңында қолданылады. Still сөзі. Бір нәрсені біз ертерек бітеді деп ойлайтын болсақ, онда біз still сөзін қолданады екенбіз. Бірақ та ол іс-әрекет әлі тәмамданбаған болу керек. Әлі де емес, әлі де барған жоқпын, әлі де көрмедім деген секілді. Already біз айтып тұрған уақыттан бұрын ертерек тәмамданған іс-әрекетте қолданылады. Exercise number 3. Listen to 6 dialogues and write sentences for 1 from 6 with the verbs in the box. Use still, yet, just, and already. Then ask and answer with a partner. Үшінші жаттығуда 6 түрлі диалогты тыңдаймыз. Және де сөйлем жазамыз. Ол үшін қорапшадағы сөздерді қолданамыз. Және де бүгінгі грамматикадан өткен still, yet, just және де already сөзін қолдануды ұмытпаймыз. Упражнение номер 2. Сперва слушаем 6 диалога и составляем предложение, используя слова в боксе. Не забываем использовать слова, которые мы сегодня проходим. Still, yet, just, and already.
Unit 4. Unit 4. Language focus. Exercise 5. 1.
What are we having for dinner, Tom?
I'm not sure. There's pasta or curry. Oh, and there's chicken too. Oh dear. I don't know what to make. 2.
Where's Simon? I can't see him.
I don't think he's here. Oh, yes he is. He's coming. Look. Hi everyone. 3. Polly, where's your history essay?
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. Can I give it to you tomorrow?
4. It's 10 o'clock. Stop writing, please, and give me your papers.
Oh no, I've got 2 more questions to do.
I'm sorry, Johnny. You can't have more time. Give me your paper, please. 5. Are you coming to see the new James Bond film, Jane?
No, I saw it last week.
6. Has your brother Joe got a job, Lizzie?
No, he can't find one. He's really unhappy.